Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever episode of Turnbuckle Trash Talk. This is a bunch of guys getting together talking about wrestling, both in the big leagues and on the independent circuit. We've got a wide variety of experience, fans, all of us. Some of us are wrestlers. Me, myself, I am a referee who just finished his first year on the circuit, and I've been loving every second. But the group of us, we wanted to get together, we wanted to hang out, we wanted to talk about wrestling, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. I want to introduce the man who has started to put this all together, the LAT Liaison himself, Isaiah Reyes.
I love you, Isaiah.
Oh, that's my number one fan. Shout out to everyone. The LAT Liaison, Isaiah. It's a pleasure. Isaiah Reyes. You keep on doing what you're doing, brother. I'm just gonna have a sip of water.
Next up, we've got the pink shirt guy himself, Anthony PSG Santa.
That's really you. PSG. I love you. Oh my gosh.
Just turned pink. Ladies and gentlemen.
You're the best.
You're doing amazing, man. Thank you for the opportunity. Let's make this quick. I get home in time for lunch, okay,
That's
folks?
it. We gotta get this food. That's it.
I'm over there. That's right. Let me get on closer to this guy.
And last but certainly not least, other than in height, the captain, Aaron Nova.
You do not boo. You don't boo the captain. Kent, you don't need to frame Isaiah because I'm the perfect height. And just get a quick frame in. My own personal microphone, ladies and gentlemen.
Your own mic. What is
Looks like what is that? A lunchbox?
So, all right, before things come to blows, let's get started with the primary topic I wanted to talk about today. Is wrestling in a boom period? Is it in a boom? Is it in a lull? There's been a lot of opinions on this matter. Some could say that it is going strong with All In and, things going with WWE as they have been. Some could say it's in a lull. I want to get each and every one of your opinions on this. Let's start with Isaiah. What do you think?
Yes, it's in a boom. I think independent wrestling, especially, everything's just thriving. Women's wrestling, everything is just wrestling. Ronda Rousey getting involved with wrestling as well. Brock Lesnar still being involved with wrestling. I think wrestling just right now is. I thought it would have reached its peak already, but it's still growing. Everybody watches it.
So, do you think wrestling is more prevalent than it's ever been? Do you think it's just better exposure because of social media? Expand on that.
I would say definitely exposure, view-wise, people getting their eyes on the product. I feel like before it was just North America, Now they're reaching out. They realized, listen, well, we've maxed out everything, in North America. Let's reach out elsewhere, and they've expanded their horizons, and they've definitely been reaching out here. And it's just the beginning, for, I want to say, the captain of the boat right now for them, no pun intended, it's not you,
I
Nova.
see what you did there.
It's not Nova. It's Vince McMahon. He's the captain of the wrestling boat, and he's definitely reaching out to the horizon of what is the world, and he's getting everybody involved, and I think everyone's taking advantage of that. Independent wrestlers, main card wrestlers, just big time wrestlers. So I think everyone's just taking advantage of the ride and just riding that wave, man.
Okay, so what product do you find yourself most drawn to? Do you still see yourself as more of a WWE guy? Do you see yourself more towards the indies? What is catching your eye most in wrestling right now?
I grew up watching WWF, WWE, I think as did everybody else, as I got involved with wrestling in itself, and I did partake in the training of it, I was exposed to other independent wrestling. I started watching your Ring of Honor, which I never knew about. Lucha Underground. What is it? Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Things like that. And I started watching it, and I was in awe and disappointed in myself as a wrestling fan because I never watched it. So it kind of sucked that I missed out on all of that. But needless to say, I want to say I can honestly push more to the independents. just because I feel like the main product that you have on TV right now is kind of a letdown. It just doesn't keep my attention. Maybe I'm getting old, you know? Maybe I'm just older and I'm just like, it's not the same thing that draws me. You know, when you were a kid, you'd see like Jake the Snake come out with that snake, you'd be like, oh shit, that's a real snake, you know? So it drew me, you know, and I loved it. The characters were so animated. I guess that's probably what's missing now. I don't know, I may be wrong. What the hell do I know?
Honestly, I just want to know what the heck's underneath the red beanie.
Are you asking me, does the curtain match the drapes? Or the curtain match the, what is it? You know what I'm talking about. Curtain match the carpet match? It's hair! It's hair, I'm not bald.
The carpet
I just want to
match the couch.
Does the magic carpet ride through the whole new world?
Yes.
That's what it is.
So, you know, as we're talking about this boom or bust, you know, from what I can remember as a kid, the venues were always packed.
Always.
Okay. And up till today, I still go to an event and it's pretty packed.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the opposite of a boom time would even look like. Like, how can I compare that to anything? And so that's why I think it's like it has to be a boom, because I don't. What's considered not a boom?
I hear what you're saying.
Well, some would say the transition between the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era was kind of a lull. You know, after competition decreased with the closing of ECW, the closing of WCW. You know, you could only find wrestling in one place, and truthfully, the product wasn't equaling up to what it had been before. You know, they'd started to go in a more PG direction. They had taken out a lot of the elements that people loved about the Attitude Era. Attendances started to drop. There weren't any big stars. I mean, another thing that really indicates a boom or a bust is the transition between, you know, wrestling and Hollywood, or the mainstream appeal of wrestling, and a lot of that went away when your Hulk Hogan's went away. There was a lull, in fact, after Hulk Hogan had left for WCW, when Bret Hart was trying to keep WWF alive. So I think that a lot of it has to do with, you know, is it accessible to the masses? Is it interesting to the masses? So that's kind of what I would define a lull as. You know, some could say the same happened with the departure of John Cena, when he started doing more Hollywood and stopped being the main focus of WWE. When Roman Reigns tried to take up the mantle, for example, some might say that caused kind of a lull because he wasn't as appealing in a mass perspective. Now, that's just one opinion, but, you know, it kind of depends on, are you still seeing the same crowds at all the live events? Are you still getting great ratings on Raw, SmackDown, other television products? Are you still cashing in on interest? Yeah. So that's how I would define a lull. But let's say, do you think wrestling is in a boom?
Yeah, I mean, like, as you're talking about some of these, you know, icon wrestlers, Hogan, Rock, Stone Cold, after, what was that?
There's something to say. My name. I think he wants to interfere.
He
looks angry. He's been sitting there angry the whole time.
Yeah. You include myself in that list. You know to include the Captain Aaron Nova in that list. We're not gonna play the game.
Ever since we got here, he's been spiteful. I don't know what it is. Like, he's been really upset. Did you do something?
Is it my pink button down that you don't like?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, well, it's one of them, but let's not act like we don't have a history here, PSG.
Honestly, Aaron, you're probably one of the only few guys that, you know, every time I see you looking around, it's very like you know, your half your eyes are like, what's,
you know. Maybe you need more glasses. Maybe.
All right, let's stay on topic.
Yeah.
So
get us on topic.
Yeah,
boom.
Get off your high chair, Nova.
Boom. Period.
All right, so no, I was talking about, like, you know, you talk about Hogan, Stone Cold, The Rock, all these people that you're like, what's wrestling gonna be like when they're gone? Well, it continues to move on, whether it takes a few weeks or a few months. All these guys have all retired and gone, and then the new superstars, and it's still as exciting as ever. It's a different type of superstar. You know, I feel like The Rock and Stone Cold, they might not have done so much as far as, like, all these, like, top rope maneuvers that some of these the top talents can do now, but it's just a different breed. But wrestling lives on past these icon wrestlers.
Well, some could say that wrestling has also relied a lot on nostalgia lately, including the show in Saudi Arabia. They're having to bring guys out of retirement. They're having to lure these guys away from Hollywood to pop ratings. I mean, ratings on Raw have been the lowest they've ever been as of late. And some could say it's because there is no appeal. There is no big star currently. I mean, a lot of this current crop are people that were big on the indies but have really failed to make a splash on WWE. I mean, it seems like they're signing everyone and anyone they can.
I think it's a mistake for them to draw all these indie guys, because it's a mistake on both ends. Because a lot of them just disappear and they just don't look, they don't find a future,
If I may,
go ahead.
Interject onto that subject. Signing all the indie guys is the exact same formula that really kickstarted WWF in the 80s. You're signing guys, all the top guys you're cherry picking each top guy from each territory and you're putting them on one show. So the formula really, with that, kind of stood the same. It's just, as far as the nostalgia goes, you're carrying, right now I feel like we're in the mobile period of wrestling. Or mobile entertainment. Everybody on their smartphones has the WWE Network or some YouTube or anything where you can just pull up any piece of wrestling in any piece of time right now. So, and is it in a boom? You don't have to ask, I'm going to answer. Yes, because right now with so much content of wrestling being available, you have a handful of, I wouldn't say a handful of guys, you got a decent amount of guys willing to push the envelope and capitalize on the mobile era of wrestling, with it being the elite or any segments or some capitalizing on dirt sheets and Twitter and stuff like that. Pretty much, how can I say right now?
I still think it's a mistake, man.
What?
I think it's a mistake. They're signing all these independent guys.
It's the same thing though. It's
different
literally
because
there's no guy with that. Well, probably now you'll occasionally get a Division I athlete they sign and then they put on NXT and up through the main roster, or a Matt Riddle from the UFC and put him through Evolve into NXT and stuff like that. It's the same formula it's always been for the main event show. It's like WWE's the NFL. You're drafting the top guys to produce the top product, and
not everyone can be Velveteen Dream. Not everyone can.
Well, let me ask this then. The NFL has no competition. I mean, we know that the XFL is coming up.
Yes.
But the NFL has no competition. No. They have the ability to cherry pick whoever they want because that's the top. That's where everyone wants to go. Yeah. Now, more and more, you're seeing guys who don't want to leave the Indies. Yeah. You're seeing guys who regret leaving NXT and going to the main roster. I mean, Bobby Roode was TNA champion. Yeah. He was NXT champion. One of the best NXT champions, I might say. He went to the main roster, and he's nothing. Is there a problem, in that case, of oversaturation? Too many stars, not enough opportunities. I mean, there's too many shows. Yeah. Right now, on WWE Network, every week there's anywhere from 9 to 12 hours of programming that you have to watch if you want to stay caught up. And they're not even featuring all the stars they have. Yeah. There's plenty of guys who are in developmental who shouldn't be. There are plenty of guys on the main roster who shouldn't be. Now, again, that's an opinion, but you're not seeing Bobby Roode with the same success. You're not seeing Shinsuke Nakamura with the same success. Yeah. He was doing better in Japan than he's doing here. Maybe it's a better contract. Maybe it's safer working. Maybe he's extending his career by being in WWE. But for his personal brand, some could say this was a step backwards.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends on what you consider better, because is he making a lot more money doing this with the WWE than he was? So that to him could be better. So it's all dependent on that individual person.
Compensation's got to be
maybe they're getting taken care of at a higher, quality of living might be a little bit better. So I guess it just depends on that individual's.
Yeah. Well, what their priorities are, for sure.
Yeah. For me, it's just like there's stars at one point in one particular beast. Now, I guess the main roster itself, you're reaching out to a more broader international audience, so you have to cater to. You can't just be, good guy wrestler versus bad guy wrestler. You have to. It's a show at the end of the day. It's sports entertainment. So you have to cater to that bigger, broader audience. You have to have a little bit of everything. And, maybe some guys can't cater to all those audiences, and maybe it's one particular group. So for that one particular group, you feel like they're not getting the rub because, maybe it's them holding them down, or it's just maybe they're not diverse enough to cater to all those groups.
Yeah.
So, one of the most popular eras of wrestling, I think we can all agree, is the Attitude Era.
Yes.
One of the most popular. I'm not saying it's the best.
Yeah.
I know some people
The
would
best.
disagree that
The
it's the
best.
best. I believe it's the best.
The best.
I know Mr. Nova over
I
here
will disagree.
believes
Easily
it's
the
the
best.
Ruthless Aggression Era.
I will disagree.
But
Yes.
with that in mind, one of the things that made the Attitude Era better was competition.
Yes.
I talked about it with the NFL. The NFL has no competition. I personally, in watching the NFL, feel like a lot of the players kind of just go with the motions and collect the paychecks.
Yeah.
I personally like college football more than professional football because they have something to gain. They have stakes.
It's NXT.
Right. It's
That's
NXT.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I personally believe NXT is one of the better brands
Yes.
out there versus pretty much any brand on the main roster. So, with there being a certain lack of competition right now, with WWE being the primary force behind wrestling, do you think it's hurting its own potential to be even bigger than it is now? I mean, they're snatching up everybody, so they're pretty much limiting the opportunity for competition to arise because they can't offer the money, because they can't offer the comfort. Is that hurting how big of a boom this is? I mean, you've all said that you believe wrestling is in a boom. Do you think it could be even greater than it is now? Speculation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They've only reached out to, so far, they've done, the UK deal. They've done Saudi Arabia. And the reason I keep on mentioning WWE is because the market really belongs, let's be real, it really belongs to WWE. They're the big dogs. Yeah, New Japan's doing well in Japan. You know, I get it, and I love New Japan.
But they're evolving to the point where now it's transcending to more East Coast.
Yes,
So
West Coast,
it's
because they're going to
more-
California.
They're going more international
Yeah.
with their network. It's just, if you look at it now as a whole, like, everybody's expanding.
Yes.
So it's becoming a more global thing. So you're getting wrestling stars, such diverse wrestling characters and stuff like that.
Now's
So,
the time.
yeah, you're getting a wide variety. It's not just cheeseburgers. Now you're getting, you're getting.
Now you're getting double cheeseburgers.
You're getting tacos. You're getting,
Yeah.
You're getting kids meals.
Shut up, Santa. Anyway, so you're getting it's expanding. You're getting way more flavors. And do you feel it's not in a boom because are you just singling it out to just WWE's product and what they're presenting and not wrestling as a whole, whether it be
I myself
on indie level
I-
all around?